let's dive into a really powerful shift in how we think about learning. For a long time, learning has felt like this one-way street, just passively receiving information. But what if we could flip that script? What if we could become active, engaged explorers of knowledge? That's exactly what we're going to break down.
So, does this feel familiar? You're sitting in a class, or maybe you're watching a tutorial online, and it feels like knowledge is just being, well, poured into your head. You're taking notes, sure, but you feel completely dependent on the teacher, right? Just waiting for them to tell you what to do next, if you got it right, if you got it wrong. It can be super frustrating, and honestly, it's not a very empowering place to be.
And this whole feeling really boils down to two very different ways of looking at education. On one side, you've got what we can call transmission teachers. They see knowledge as this fixed thing, like a package, and their main job is to deliver it to you and then check if you received it correctly. But on the other side, you have interpretation teachers, and this is a game changer. They believe knowledge isn't delivered at all. It's something that you build. Their role is to create a space, a dialogue for you to explore, to question, and to construct your own understanding. That little shift from transmission to interpretation, that's where all the magic happens.
And that brings us right to the heart of the solution: learner autonomy. This is the key. This is how you break out of that passive cycle and finally take the reins of your own learning journey. So, what is it exactly? Well, at its core, learner autonomy is simply the capacity to take charge of your own learning. Now, this isn't about ditching your teachers and going it completely alone. Not at all. It's about developing the power to make your own informed decisions about what you learn, how you learn it, and maybe most importantly, why you're learning it in the first place. It's a really fundamental, empowering shift in your whole mindset. So, how does this actually work? Well, a researcher named Henri Holick broke it down into 5 core principles. It all starts with assessing your context, really understanding the situation you're learning in. Then, you refine the specific skills you need for whatever you're tackling. From there, you work on enhancing your overall ability to learn and communicate. And this next one's huge: you take responsibility for your own process. And finally, you assert your right to learn in a way that truly works for you. These are basically the building blocks of becoming an autonomous learner. And just to see that first principle, assessing the context in the real world, check out this incredible quote from a university student back in 1993. This shows amazing autonomy. She isn't just memorizing English words, she is critically thinking about why she's learning it, its history, its political side. She's not just a sponge for information, she's engaging with the entire subject as an active, critical thinker. That is autonomy in action. Okay, so if you, the learner, are taking more control, where does that leave the teacher? Well, their role doesn't just vanish, it completely transforms. They shift from being the sole authority figure to becoming a vital ally on your learning journey. Just look at how different this is. The traditional teacher, they set the objectives, they decide on the tasks for you, but this new role, which is almost more like a counselor, is all about partnership. Instead of setting your goals, they help you figure out your own goals. Instead of just telling you what to do, they suggest different ways to do it. They listen, they respond. It's a huge move from a top-down lecture to a real collaborative conversation. But here's the key: this has to be a guided process. It's not about just being thrown into the deep end and told, good luck, figure it out. The whole point is a gradual shift, a supportive process of moving away from dependence on the teacher. A professional guide is there to help you build the skills and the confidence you need to eventually, swim on your own. All right, so we've talked about the what and the why. Now let's get to the best part, the how. How do you actually do this? How do you become an autonomous learner? Well, the answer is all about building your own strategic toolkit. And let's be super clear, autonomy isn't some magical talent you're either born with or you're not. Nope. It is a skill, and it's built by using very specific, practical strategies. These are the tools that let you organize your thoughts, plan your attack, and actually make information stick. Think of them as the engine that powers the whole thing. So let's crack open this toolkit. First up, memory strategies. These are all about making sure what you learn stays learned. So instead of just trying to memorize a random list, you can group related ideas together. Put all the words about food in one mental basket. Or you can elaborate, connect a new historical fact to a movie you love. Using vivid images in your head or putting a new word into a ridiculous sentence, these aren't just silly tricks, they are powerful ways to build a really solid memory. Okay, now for the next level. And this is probably the most powerful set of tools in the whole box: metacognitive strategies. It sounds like a fancy term, but all it means is thinking about your own thinking. This is where you become the director of your own movie. It means you're actively managing the entire learning process. Are you setting up your study space so you can actually focus? Are you setting clear goals, like, I'm going to master this one concept by Wednesday? And before you even start a task, are you asking yourself, okay, what's my purpose here? What do I actually need to get out of this? This is you stepping up and becoming the CEO of your own education. It's huge.
So, when you start to combine this new mindset, this belief in your own power as a learner, with this awesome practical toolkit of strategies, something really amazing starts to happen. You go through this final transformation in your identity. You actually move from being a student practicer to becoming a student explorer. See, the practicer, their goal is just to finish the exercise. They study about a language. They're just following a path that someone else laid out for them. But the explorer sees those activities as just one small step on a much bigger journey. They focus on the actual use of the language. They want to play, to experiment, to see what happens when they go off the beaten path. This is the shift from feeling like you have to do it to a genuine sense of adventure. And it's so important to remember this. The final goal of autonomy isn't to become some lone wolf learning in isolation. The real journey takes you from dependence to independence, and then to something even more powerful, interdependence. This is where you're so skilled and confident in your own learning process that you can team up with others, share what you know, and grow together as part of a real learning community.
So, it all comes down to this one question for you to think about. When you look at how you're learning right now, are you just following a map someone else drew for you? Or are you starting to chart your own course? Are you a practicer or are you an explorer? That journey is open to every single one of us. All you have to do is decide to take that first step.